Welcome, everyone, to the Next Best Picture podcast, where we are talking with Laura Piani and Camille Rutherford, the writer, director, and star of Jane Austen Wrecked My Life. Camille, Laura, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. We're very happy.
I'm so thrilled to be talking to you both today because this film was just such a delight when I saw it last year at the Toronto International Film Festival, and it is still a delight when I watch it now. Laura, I know this is far from your first film credit, but it is your first full-length feature as a writer and director. So I'm curious about what the source of the story was and why you felt that you were the one to direct it.
Thank you so much. Well, the story itself is quite weird, the story of the story, because I was a scriptwriter for many years, and I never got a chance to write a rom-com, and I was dreaming to write a rom-com since I am a very young cinephile. I love rom-coms and comedies. So I decided to write a rom-com as a scriptwriter, and the deal with the producer that when we got a good draft, we would look for a director. I was very happy in my scriptwriting life, never really wanted to direct anything. And then after a while, I realized that the script was so intimate and personal and precious to me that I couldn't think of any directors. I could, just give the script. It was impossible. And I spoke with the producer, and she knew before me, actually. She knew since the very beginning. And so her trust gave me wings somehow, And I think in every first feature, of course, you put so much from your own story and your own experience, but probably what was the genesis of the project was my years as a bookseller at Shakespeare & Company, the bookshop in Paris, where I worked as a student, and then when I started to be a scriptwriter too. So all these years were these years between 25 and 23, 28, these years where you're actually building yourself, finding your voice, doubting a lot. You need to pay your rent, but you don't want to give up your dreams. And you're surrounded by people who in this bookshop were dreamers like me, like unconditional romantics. And it was the beginning of the app things. And we were we couldn't fit with the modern dating rules somehow. So I wanted to, talk about this. That's the starting point.
Yeah, and Camille, when you first read the screenplay, what was your reaction to it?
I liked it a lot immediately. Yeah. There's a scene that we didn't do, that we couldn't film, that I liked so much. It's a scene where before she takes the ferry, she waves goodbye to her best friend, and they just kissed. And she wants to be cool and romantic, so she takes off her scarf and she throws it. She as a gesture to give it to her. She wants it to be romantic, but there's a lot of wind, and the scarf just goes and in her face. And I remember thinking, oh yeah, that scene is the character. Yeah, that's Agathe, and I could relate to that so much. I'm quite clumsy in real life as a person, and also then I liked her immediately because she doubts a lot. She feels insecure. She feels like an imposter, and I think that's a very common, universal feeling. We all have periods in our lives where we feel we're not intelligent and talented enough for anything. And then she's half French, half English, like me. So there was something from my childhood that was very comforting. It just reminded me of all the summer holidays I spent in Durham and the northeast of England with my English grandparents. And then Jane Austen, same in summer, I would watch over and over again with my sister the BBC adaptation of Pride and Prejudice and the Ang Lee adaptation of Sense and Sensibility.
Yes.
Written by Emma Thompson, and I just remembered with my sister playing on the carpet, and we would pretend we were the Bennet sisters, and we laughed about the pretending we had puff sleeves and went to balls, made fun of the very the protocol of the ball and the way saluted each other. And then finally, it's a movie about writing, this how hard it is to write, and I like that it really demystifies the writing. I think it's for intellectuals, and that you have to be in your tower, and that you're always inspired, and that everything you write is wonderful. And the movie shows that it's not the case. That when you're writing, a lot of it is rubbish, and you put it in the bin, and it takes time to actually start being really inspired and to find the rhythm. Most of the time, you're in front of your computer, and you're like, nothing is happening. And I liked how truthful Laura was with it. And my sister also writes. Her first novel came out 2 years ago, and
Oh, wonderful.
it reminded me of my sister so much. So that's why I liked, I guess.
It's really wonderful to hear. I love that you have this through line from you and you having your childhood memories of being in England, and you, Lara, with this based on your 20s working in Shakespeare and Company. That's really a nice sort of through line there. You know, Laura, at one point, Oliver says to Agatha, writing needs ruins to exist. And so I'm curious, out of what ruins did this film grow?
Good question.
Yeah.
I think I didn't expect to be grieving while I started to write, actually. And so I was grieving, and I still wanted to write a comedy. So there was a bit like of a tension, you know, but I thought that it would be interesting to have to add this layer to this character, because I deeply feel, I'm sure actually, that you cannot write without being really in contact with your deepest sorrows. You know, you have to, that's how you start writing, actually. And so it's interesting to see how after a while, because it's not necessarily conscious when you start writing, how much of like you write the film, and then life is like life is life around the film. You are on a journey too, and so you end up having a film that is, you know, conscious and unconscious somehow, you know. But I would say that what was beautiful was that I was becoming a director, facing this desire. In the same time, I was writing about a woman facing her desire to write, to become a writer. So this parallel way was very nourishing and exciting to explore for me.
It's really wonderful to hear. I know we're coming up close to the end of our time together, but I have to ask both of you, you know, given what we see in this film, can a Henry Crawford and an Anne Elliot find love together? Do you think it's possible?
Big yes.
Yes.
Definitely.
They might need a little psychoanalyze, both of them.
Yes. Probably. And I'm curious for both of you, what, you know, this is so much about Jane Austen's work and how that has like influenced us even today after so many years. Which character of Jane Austen's do you both relate to the most?
For me, maybe it's like Agathe. Actually, it's Anne Elliot in Persuasion. I would like to think that I'm like this. I think it's Elizabeth in Sense and Sensibility. There's the Dashwood sisters, and the one who is more witty and rebel, I think it's Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
I think, or Margaret, I don't remember. But Elizabeth. But not her. I wish, sadly, I'm more like Anne Elliot.
Aw.
I feel the same. And it's funny because I've been talking with so many people about Jane Austen since the film has been released. And at least for many, many women, Persuasion and Anne Elliot is it's you know, it's not so surprising. It's the last character. It's the maturity novel. It's much sadder Persuasion than the other books, actually. So that's probably why we feel like so connected to this character, all of us.
I can understand that, but this film is such a joy to watch on so many levels, and really about just the joy of romance in general. And isn't that what we all go to art for in the end? Yeah. Well, thank you both so much for joining us today. It was wonderful chatting with you, and congratulations on your work on this film.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you very much.
Of course. Au revoir.
Au
Au
revoir.
revoir.